Hey, and welcome back to Wyvern Tales. We've been at a leisurely pace with it, Sunday morning for the past 3 Sundays, and now this current Sunday. Um, Unfortunately, one of the things I quickly realized is that in order to deal damage to the optional, not to the optional boss, but to the final boss, which you can fight other ways than just fighting at the final dungeon, you have to have a certain weapon which is only available before you complete the 30th hunt. Hunts are like in-game bounties that you can do where you can go on the world map, you can explore, you can find footprints, defeat the enemies, you get a little bit of gold, and that's it. Once you complete Hunt 30, the weapon list changes. One of the weapons, the only weapon that can hurt the final boss, is only available via hunts 1 through 30. Guess who completed more than 29 hunts and screwed themselves out of having the only weapon that hurts the boss? Now, I didn't program the game this way, and I would never, ever have programmed the game in such a way where they tell you need an item way after the point of no return. Like, I learned about the sword's existence only by talking to this person. And the thread that I follow online for this game, because like, let's face it, there's no game facts is kind of a dying art form. It used to be the main source you'd go to find information about retro games, and now all information is fragmented across like 9 million websites. There's no one single repository for game information anymore. Nobody's wants to go through the trouble of making a giant frequently asked questions. They don't want to go through the trouble of like compiling maps and all this other information, which I get. It's a completely different time now. But that does mean that for purposes of me being able to go through and analyze the game, I set myself up for failure pretty early. I did have to did have to go and redo like most of the entire game. I had to redo the cave that was outside of our goal. I had to redo the Wyvern dungeon. I had to regrind to get the gold, to get the equipment, and I had to re-get my levels that I had lost right after my previous save before the final confrontation. So that all took time. Thankfully, because these streams are spaced out a week, I was okay. But that's frustrating. Definitely an element of frustration associated with that. But we're ready to go. I have everybody. I've got one weapon for everybody. The only weapon that can hurt the boss. Just to give people a reference, I did go back to the old man who transforms into what I understand is the final boss. But one of the weekends I spent about, no exaggeration, 2.5 hours trying to chip away at him with poison damage, and he did not die. In fact, the game stopped looping music about 1 hour into it. I don't know if that's because I hit an HP kill threshold, or if it's because the game is only programmed to loop the music a certain number of times and it exceeded it. Either way, the music stopped. The game kept going, and I died after 2.5 hours. I exhausted 100 plus health potions, like 40 something mana potions, 17 plus health plus potions, health plus potions, and like all MP I had, and I lost. So I only did that to see if it was viable to fight the actual final boss, and it clearly just isn't. I'd have to have grinded to get even more materials. It might be impossible to have beaten that boss. I don't know. But I had to redo the entire game, basically to get to where I'm at right now. So I hope you enjoy it, because I did not enjoy playing it through a second time. So, switching over to scene number 1, we are back to my analog pocket, which is the only way I know of right now to play Wyvern Tales, physical edition. I could play it on the actual Atari Lynx, but then I can't stream it. There's no HDMI capture, there's nothing. I wouldn't be able to capture any of the gameplay, so we're back on the pocket with the Lynx adapter. So we're going to go ahead and play the cartridge. And I'm going to review this at the very, very end, and nobody's going to be safe. The publisher's not going to be safe. Nomad's not going to be safe. Everybody's going to get a little bit of something. I'm certainly not going to dock the actual game's score just because Songbird dropped the ball on their end, but I am going to dock the game score for its own inherent flaws. So we're 32, 33, and 33. It's possible that Mori may get a level between now and yes, Wyverndale does cost 70 physical edition. I got mine for 60. Good morning, Rise. Hope you're doing well. Well, morning for me, evening for you. But yes, it is expensive. That's what happens when there's no ROMs available. Not that I would dump a ROM of this game. I mean, I wouldn't do that to anybody that's trying to, sell their own product. Uh, but it's clear that it's not a great game for a number of reasons. I do need to crank up my TV a little bit. I need to hear all of this astonishing Lynx music. Bear with me. Yeah, I mean, you're mainly paying for the physical edition, which is the only way the game has been released. I can understand why a person would want a ROM circulating online. All sorts of reasons why that's probably not profitable because it's a ROM circulating online. I suppose somebody could dump the cartridge, but anybody who pays $70 or $60, whatever it is, to actually purchase the game now is probably not going to go through the extra trouble of dumping the ROM. They're probably going to be like very elitist, proud of themselves for buying the physical edition and not wanting to, not wanting to sell or sell out. But I know this is the final area because we meet the goddess. Or at least we did before I restarted all of my progress to get the actual weapons that I locked myself out of. Hope you're doing well today, Rise. Yeah, well, I mean, there would still be a market. The thing is that the difference here with that, though, Rise, is that there would still be a market for the actual training DS game. Um, if given the choice between the dumped ROM and the actual physical card, I think most people would still try to go for the market for the physical card. If people were given a choice between a ROM dump of Wyvern Tales and the physical edition, I don't feel like the deck would be quite as stacked towards leaning towards Wyvern Tales. I think they would lean towards the ROM and emulation at that particular point. I think there's like very few people that would insist to play it on authentic hardware. Yeah, it's going great so far. Um, I know my dad's going to be watching football. It's a little early in the morning to start yelling at people, but what do I know? The thing is, listening to him yell, I have no idea if they're winning or losing. Isn't that grand? You just can't tell if he's happy or sad with the team. But yeah, overall everything's going well. It is getting colder. So you are the adventurers that want to become my new guardian? You'll have to defeat the last guardian in his dungeon. He is very angry that I want to replace him and killed the other guardians to try and prove himself. But this is not how it works. I lifted the spell, and now you can kill him with a demon sword. Find this sword and kill the disobedient guardian. Then return to me for your reward. So like I said, you can lock yourself out of getting the demon sword, and I did, which is why I had to replay the entire game back up to this point, because the demon sword was no longer in circulation because it completed uh over 29 hunts. But this time when I did that, that's why I barely have any hunts completed now, be above 30, is because I just did it barely enough. Yeah, no, that would, oh my goodness, the foundation of the house would probably fall apart if that was the case. Um, Raj, you're probably gonna have to be one of the first. Probably, I've had other people know, but unfortunately, Sheridan is probably at the end of its days right now. At some point in 2025, I am gonna have to get a replacement chair. It's gonna be the end of its era. Uh, yeah, no, it's had a good run. It really has had a good run, but uh, leaning back doesn't really work in this chair very well, and it's killing my posture, and it's falling apart at the seat. So I have to change it out for my back's sake, and I'm gonna have to eventually bid farewell to it. And I promised I would let people know in advance before I do it, because I just don't want to show up like with a brand new chair all of a sudden and not have people to be aware of it. That chair has taken me through a number of my great gaming journeys and a number of my not so great gaming journeys, like this one. Okay, it's not the same one of these mechanical enemies we fought before, because this one's blue. Yes. That's the name. That'll be the name of the chair for sure. Okay. Path splits. I'm gonna go north. Good thing I picked north. There's a chest here. There's also no guides. Like there's no maps online for this game. There's like a couple of maps of a couple of world areas, but not complete. Um, I want to say 4 years. Because we got this around the pandemic because whenever I started working from home, uh, I needed a chair to sit on to really do that. That was never a thing I had to worry about because there was no working from home. So about 4 years now. I guess that's true. So we've got dragon armor. Is that better than the gold? I'm gonna assume it is. Two better. I will take it. But I'll be jumping all the way from Wyvern Tales to Mario and Luigi Brothership. So it's going to be quite a jarring difference. Although IGN would score this game and and Mario and Luigi Brothership the same. Oh, I'm sure it will be. IGN was extremely negative towards the game, but literally the other person I've talked to that's almost done with the game, since he played it before the release date, had indicated that zero performance issues, zero clue what IGN is going on and on about. Um, and if there were any performance issues, I think he would have stopped the game like way early. He just does not. He is not about that at all. Yeah, the damage system is kind of a huge problem with this. Basically, your main strength comes from weapons and equipment, which is, I guess, okay. To some degree, but damage is still wildly fluctuating. Like, look, I did 36 damage and my last hit did like 150. It's still insane. Good place to level up, except I don't really need to do much of that anymore. I am going to go ahead and toss some health potions since we have 107 of them. I'm assuming 255 might be our limit here, but I don't know. Yeah. No, it's wildly different. I just don't like games where strength I like games where you can work. I don't mind games where you grind a ton, but there has to be a noticeable difference between like level 1 and level 15 in terms of your damage output and how much you're taking. And this game does not give you that satisfaction at all. But I do get to say I finally played a game on the Atari Lynx. Yeah. No, I mean, it's I know Final Fantasy 1 was kind of like it a little bit where the damage fluctuated, but there was still like a level of actual noticeable strength difference that this game lacks. I'm gonna have to cure poison at the end of this fight. So magic, antidotes. Yeah, no, that there's really no excuse for that. I don't really know how the damage formula works, and I don't think that's ever really been a thread discussion topic from like the one thread I saw of this game. It did tell me a little bit too late that, oh, by the way, someone said I locked myself out of the demon sword and had a miserable time with the final boss. And I did the same thing. I did the exact same thing. Yeah, I know if you see a 0, it just means your character missed. It's not like your damage has like zeroed out completely. The game always seems to assign some level of positive value to your damage output, regardless of what your defense stat may be. That's why enemies at the very, very beginning of the game can still potentially nail you for like 8 damage, which isn't really a change from the very, very start. So I think it is just calling a number, but I don't really know how a lot of this works. Up? I hope there's a chest here. But if everything goes well, this should be the final dungeon. And I know there's a ton of games that are coming out, like November 14th is Dragon Quest III's remake. I do plan on getting that at some point, I just don't know when. My hands are a little bit tied right now, there's just too much to do. Persona 4 Golden is going to easily pass 20 streams. Oh, I don't necessarily mind it too much. Okay, is this a switch? Okay, good. Well, it was worth it to come this way then. My switch will be activated for brothership. Yeah, it's boring and repetitive, but that I don't mind that. Um, a lot of the games that are outwardly boring and repetitive, I tend to actually enjoy, except the big exception being Summon Night 6, which had like zero stimulation whatsoever. But games that are boring and repetitive kind of lower your mental defenses, meaning you're more readily able to accept gameplay elements. You're able to just more easily derive enjoyment when you're relaxed and comfortable with the game. When you have a game figured out, that's when you can start enjoying it. And so that's why even though you're getting encounters every few moments, the gameplay isn't exactly extremely deep. I don't necessarily, view that as a huge negative, but I do feel that the strength system and a lot of the performance issues and a lot of the kind of soft lock elements of the game by not doing certain things early that you weren't hinted at doing early can be problematic for it. So it's definitely not going to rise to like any sort of a passing level, but it's not like a 1 or a 2 out of 10 game. It's still going to get some level of points. It's just not going to get a ton. I was able to sit down and grinding, running back and forth and fighting enemies. It's easy enough. It's just annoying to have to deal with some of your damage rolls sometimes. So I think that switch probably opened the bridge. We've got to be close to the end. Okay, we have a straight path. Yeah, we've had a couple of caves already. I think this is like maybe one, two, three. I think this is the third cave we've had all game, because there was the one that was outside of the bar region, there was the one outside of Argul, and then there's this one. The game doesn't have a lot of overworld locations, so... Oh, I'm gonna go right. Oh no. It's a lot of fast. But, yeah, I mean, all in all, I mean, I've done a lot of games this year, so I'm pretty happy about that. Mary's asleep, I'll have to wake her up after battle. We're just gonna have to pick a path here and just hope we're on the right track. Awake. There we go. Hope there's no more switches I had to push, because that might be a problem. So a lot of these enemies are the same ones we fought in the actual dungeon castle basement, which I'm not really a big fan of because a number of them use spells that just waste turns and time. All right, awake spell again for you. That was a very easy decision to just slap one of those on every character. Okay, so all of this was for a chest, which is... No, you're kidding me. I didn't have to reset the game? Why didn't anybody in the thread... Why did the one person say that they were locked out? I believed them at face value. That's unbelievable. I replayed the entire game for nothing because I thought there was no other way to get the demon sword. Well, now my complaint isn't with the game because obviously the game gave you a way to hit the final boss, but I am definitely mad at the person who posted in that thread saying that they had no way to beat the final boss. And me believing them, because why wouldn't I? The only place you could buy the sword disappeared. Um, about So the thing about playing this game on the Analog Pocket is you can save state using a real cart. So I basically replayed 2/3 of the game. A lot of the early grinding, thankfully, was cut out, but I basically had to do all of Argul, all of the tower climb, all of the exiting the tower climb, going through the mountains, and then going through the Wyvern Castle dungeon. So yeah, I had to redo all of that. That took a while. Uh, but I only did this because I thought there was no way to get a demon sword ever again. Why would that person post that in the stupid thread? Did they just not check the chest in the dungeon? Oh man, I'm so mad at that person. Oh well, but I guess they did. I mean that honestly that helps the game score a little bit because I thought I was prepared to talk about this at the very end about how people were locked out, but apparently I guess they weren't. I guess there was a workaround. I don't know, maybe in the initial run of this game, maybe it wasn't, but I mean, I can't speculate about what I don't know about. All I know is there is access to a weapon that will hurt the final boss. Just pick this cranny over here, and you'll be able to do it. And as for me, I need to take a drink of water because my voice is fading fast. Note to self, when drinking water, do not bang it against your front teeth because that hurts. Okay. Oh, there is a switch. Well, at least we know where the path is going to ultimately end up going. That makes it even more unbelievable if they didn't find the demon sword. So they would have had to have found the path that had the switch and then found the path that had the actual end path. I guess if they were checking from left to right, it's excusable. Hey, Sunny, welcome. We are playing the only RPG on the Atari Lynx. Welcome to Wyvern Tales on the Atari Lynx, or as I like to call it, Wyvern Fails on the Atari Stinks. because the game is not that great. From the most active Garneden chatter to the most inactive Garneden chatter, I guess I don't understand. Do you mean like people in the stream talking, or do you mean something else? Yeah, low-key best game ever? No, sadly no. It is a game ever, but not the best. Okay, so now we can take the path up. Thankfully, that was a pretty easy switch to access. Yuri already has a demon sword equipped, so she's able to hit the final boss. Oh no, you don't need to feel self-conscious about that. I understand availability can be hard, especially when things ramp up. I'm not always able to be very chatty in movie night discussions either. Number one, because a lot of those discussions happen very late, and number two, I'm not a very profound thinker. Sometimes I just look at something, and unless I have like a knee-jerk humorous reaction to it, I don't tend to have a lot of opinions about a lot of different subjects. So a lot of the times I just stay quiet and listen. I like hearing other people talk about subject matters more than I actually like talking about them. It's just that for a game like this, there really isn't any other chatter about the game. There's no other playthrough online. There's no reviews that I've seen online. The best you're gonna find is like maybe 10 to 20 minutes of gameplay, and that's it. So mine is, as far as right now, is going to be the only playthrough that's on YouTube in its entirety. Oh yeah, it's very difficult. It depends on the game too. Like Persona 4 Golden, like that game does a ton of talking, and I also have to do a ton of talking on behalf of other characters, so there isn't necessarily always a lot of space to just insert myself. Also, some of the gameplay moments are just hard to talk through. Yeah. I basically, a lot of the times I rely on other people. Okay, that must be the final boss. Let me slap on the demon sword. It's significantly weaker, but we have to be able to inflict damage to the boss. Okay. Yeah, regular chatting makes sense, Crispy. It does make sense. Alright, so now we're going to fight, I don't know, whoever this is, the Guardian, but I am going to go ahead and inflict poison, just so we can do a little bit of chip damage. Yeah, I rely on a lot of on people talking about different subject matters a lot, because sometimes I can't always think of the most brilliant things to say. It's 8 damage to me, that really hurts. I'm gonna go ahead and heal 3 on Mori. Is that a Mori reference? Huh? I don't know. It's true. I don't get that a lot on my streams. Well, that's because it's always nice to see you. You know, because it's not always, it's not always something that people can expect. Which is to see you live on something or see you in an actual location. So part of it is the meme being OMG Rise, and then the other part of it is just the fact that, it's spontaneous sometimes when you show up. English is my first language, although I tend to butcher it quite a bit. My R's and L's get mixed up a lot. That's been a big problem since 2021. It's probably because I talk like at 2.5 times speed at any given time. Alright, so fire on Mori. Okay, it missed completely, which is good. Oh no, I don't think any sort of argument's really happening in chat. Anyway, I have a ton of health plus potions, so we should be in good shape for this boss fight. I think after this, the game is done. Because we just need to go back to the goddess. Let's go ahead and use heal 3. I don't quite want to commit to the health plus plush potions yet. Oh man, yeah, no, people know that I was reading chat during Flowey. Like I did not, like I wasn't shy about it. My no hit of Flowey, I was reading chat like all during it. Because it was first and foremost a stream. So I wanted to engage with people. Now I couldn't, now for obvious reasons, I couldn't read chat during the actual phases themselves. Or during the finale. But every other part I could. Oh, no problem. I'll probably still be hacking away at this guy when you get back. 1 damage. Perfect. Just about 10,000 more of that. Okay, 5 damage. That's fine. Okay, Arth and Mori both have the Atari Lynx equipped as an accessory, so their damage output is a little bit better. I just want them to keep doing the regular swings because they're not very strong and they don't... Yeah, there we go. And they just save on a lot of animation time. So, I guess if you locked yourself out of getting a demon sword, the best you could get is getting 1. Which means you're going to be doing 0 damage a lot of your turns with your other characters. So this is thankfully going to save a little bit of time. Okay, we better heal her up. 122 is a good swing. $14 seems to be the poison limit in terms of damage to this boss. So it's good to just have that chipping away at him in the background for however many turns this fight is going to go on. It's absolutely worth it to cast it at the start. $24. I'm not going to start healing until they get below 100. Okay, still above 100. We're going to keep swinging. Okay, completely missed. I have no idea the guy's HP total, so hopefully, you know, we're starting to get close. It'd be better if I could just use the Excalibur because it's a stronger weapon. But nope, only the Demon Sword. Damage. Okay, so Derry needs to be healed. $31. Okay, 40 damage to me. We'll just heal it back up. It's okay if we run out of MP. We've got like tons of healing items. Okay, 116. 40. Mori, what are you doing? It's weird. It's always weird when your mage just hits circles around your characters on some rounds. Like, there's just so much damage variation. Okay, we've gotten like 3 consecutive turns where we've done over 100 damage with Arth. Okay, we're still fine. I'm gonna guess Mori's the target. Yup. 59 damage, we'll heal it back up. Does Mori have heal 3? Yes. We'll just use yours. Well, that was a horrible round. We only did 14 damage. Okay, Arth is targeted, 69 damage. I'm gonna go ahead and use a health ++. We have more than enough resources to win this fight. I don't even need this many health ++s, but we have them anyway. We completely missed. $42. I'm not gonna heal. I'm gonna make the conscious decision to not heal Mori. Another hit to you, though, we'll probably use a health ++. Actually, no, we won't, because it's gonna be kind of a waste. We'll use a heal 3 if Mori takes another hit. I mean, if it's a huge hit, well... Oh, we're done! Never mind. I won't do any of that. Alright. 200 EXP, 5,000 gold. Alright, they're gonna make me walk. I am going to use a teleport item. So we're back to town. I think all we need to do now is talk to the goddess. We will save. Okay, so one thing for sure, that boss went down way easier than the old man. So I'm thinking the old man version of this fight actually cannot be destroyed in battle, no matter how much HP is inflicted. I think there's like some sort of a flag that might be set, and that's why I wasted 2.5 hours that one boss fight and got nowhere. Albeit it was with poison chip damage, but I know I did a lot more than I did in this fight. So let's see. I'm kind of curious if the old man is still there or if he's gone. In any event, for right now, let's go ahead and talk to the goddess. So we just need to make our way back. It's better than traveling up all those floors again. You can just hit me for whatever damage you want. We're just gonna walk there. Okay, well, I'll have to heal the poison, unfortunately. I am excited that we're actually able to beat the game. This is early enough that I might still be able to switch to something else, like make a little bit more progress in P4, but we shall see. If I do switch, I'm not going to bother with the secondary countdown. The boss probably dropped gold. I guess if you wanted to do like hunts or something, like technically post game, there may not be like end credits, so to speak, but we'll find out. All right, back to the oh, almost there. 3 steps. 3 steps. Talk to the goddess again. Oh, I still have the demon swords equipped, so that's why my damage output is a little, well, actually considerably lower. Quick to wake up Deary, just in case she's like, I'm the final boss, but I think the thread would have said something to that effect. Alright, time to save, and congratulations! You've proven yourself worthy. By law of nature, I will grant you your immortality, and you will return to your homes as my new guardians too. Be my voice for the next 1,000 years. Our story comes to a conclusion. The heroes defeated the guardian and are given the reward of immortal strength. The goddess will expect your return 1,000 years from now. I think you can get rid of the A there. 1,000 years from now for the next trial. Our heroes return back to their homes to preach and rule in her name until time comes. Thank you for playing. It has been a long journey, but I enjoyed it. Right then. The end. And okay, just jump panned to the very, very end there. All right. So now we're back to the title screen. Well, that was Wyvern Tales. Guess it's time to review it. Let us start with the box. Actually, the very first thing I'm going to do is all of you have been troopers with listening to... Welcome back. I beat the game, Rise, so you're just in time for me to start my review discussion of this game. Number one, I'm going to go ahead and lower the volume a smidge, but I'm also going to record when my volume is at. So it's at 13.8, minus 13.8 decibels. We're going to lower it considerably to a lesser degree while I talk and exposit about Wyvern Tales. So, as I said at the beginning, nobody is going to be safe from my review of Wyvern Tales. So this game was made by Nomad Productions, but distributed via Songbird Productions. Their name is what appears on the box for Wyvern Tales. You have the front, you have the name, you have the bottom, you have the back artwork with the forthcoming lore, you have Songbird Productions logo again, that's over there. There's also, inside of the game, we have a nice little game manual that comes in. So, a couple of things. Number one, the game wasn't really secured when I got it. It was kind of rattling around inside of the box. I think there apparently is inside of here like a little cardboard holder to really kind of hold the game, but it's like not really very effective for holding it. So it does kind of rattle around a bit. Number two, and I've mentioned this before, this is the game manual. If you open it, lovely text. Very lovely. Bound upside down and backwards. So if you want to see the prologue, you've got to flip to the back, you got to hold it upside down, and read it. There you go. Excellent. Excellent work. Glad it went past place testing. And also, when I booted up the game for the very, very first time, and I went to load, there was a save on it. So I don't know if they went through like pre-production testing where they tested all copies to make sure it could hold a save, but normally if they do that, they're supposed to wipe it after. They didn't. Clearly, they didn't. There was a save on my brand new copy. So, in terms of... No, I bought this straight from Songbird. I bought this straight from Songbird Productions website. I didn't go through like any sort of eBay listing or any sort of secondary market. I bought it straight from the distributor themselves. Now this distributor prides itself on 20 plus years of being in the Atari business. They've sold not only for Lynx but for a variety of different consoles. Have to say, very shoddy production to have an upside down bound manual, to have part of the text on the back of the box with the license to Songbird at the very, very bottom. It actually bleeds to the bottom part of Wyvern Tales a little bit. Like, it doesn't even fit all the way on the box. Plus the fact that my brand new game had an actual save on it. I feel it's like pretty shoddy workmanship to be distributing this game. Now, none of that should necessarily, affect my review of the game itself. That's all complaints with the distributor. I don't think that's fair to take out my complaints on the distributor, on the person who made the game. But I do think it is fair to take it out on the distributor, because they are clearly responsible for their own workmanship, and they clearly didn't do any sort of background checking. They clearly didn't take one look at the manual, because anybody who opened it up is going to realize we bound this thing upside down and backwards, and anybody who tested the card is going to realize we didn't clear the save whenever we sent out this game. Or maybe it was a secondary game that they got, like maybe it was a return that they got and then they just resold. I don't know. I really don't know, although it would explain why it rattled so much when I got it. But anyway, the actual game itself, Wyvern Tales is basically its main selling point, if it's going to have one at all, is being the only JRPG that was ever released on the Atari Lynx. Now, it's not an actual game that was released back within the Atari Lynx's life cycle, which would have been late 80s, early 90s. It was actually a game that was formulated in like the early 2010s and then released somewhere mid to late in the 2010s as far as their release. And then they've had like various successive re-releases for subsequent versions of this game. As far as a JRPG, it really fails at being one. It has the encounters, it has the random elements, it has the townspeople, it has the equipment, it has a lot of these things that seem to emulate a lot of the JRPGs you've played, like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy. But it fundamentally falls apart at the most essential aspect of a JRPG. The reason you go through all of that grinding, the reason you go through all of the gold getting, it's for the purpose of feeling more powerful. That's always what JRPGs have been about at their core. You go through all of this trouble because you want to gain strength. You want to become the most powerful version that you can be, because you need to take on stronger and stronger enemies as the game progresses. And this game has wild damage formulas. I've never seen anything like this before in my entire life. I played games with all sorts of damage fluctuations. I played the original Final Fantasy many different times, and your fighter can swing at somebody for a non-critical for 1 and a critical for 97. That's very different from this game. Your mage character with default equipment can beat a level 15 fighters with the best sword that they have access to, damage equipment, damage output, if the game feels like it. Your mage can hit circles around you. Enemies can hit you for like 10 damage at level 1 or 10 damage at level 33. There's no logic to how this game, at least that I can visibly tell, calculates any sort of damage output. You never, until you get access to equipment at the bar that you can grind money for, you don't feel more powerful. That's when you first start to notice the numbers really starting to rise. Rise reference is when you start going to these towns and shopkeeping and buying this powerful equipment. And I don't think that should necessarily dictate whether you have good characters or not, solely based on your equipment. And even having access to that equipment, your mage can still outdamage you. Like my mage with the demon sword was still doing less damage than Arthur the warrior dude with an Excalibur, which is the best weapon in terms of damage output, and the Atari Lynx equipped, which is a cute haha little Easter egg accessory that does significant damage input, output increase as well as HP increase. So it bothered me that at its core, it really fundamentally failed to really cater to that aspect. Fighting enemies and doing hunts, those are all fine. I don't necessarily mind that the game becomes repetitive with, needing to grind gold, running back and forth and fighting enemies. I'm used to that aspect of JRPGs, and that doesn't bother me in the slightest. It's fun to have your brain be able to turn off while you're doing some of these things, because if your brain is turned off, your mental defenses are lowered, you're better able to judge the game for what it is, you run into less little, frustrating moments with the game. But it does bother me considerably that the game does end up having a lot of the performance issues. You don't have any character classes. That would have been cool if we could have changed Arth, Derry, or Mori's classes to have explored different options. Everybody basically gets the same equipment pool, the same item pool, the same spell pool. There's really, other than like the innate, differences in terms of stats, there's no difference. But because the damage calculations are bonkers anyway, it doesn't really matter what distinct differences they have, because you can still take more damage as your fighter than you may take as a mage one round, or you may dish out more damage as a mage than your fighter can dish out one round. It's all complete arbitrary nonsense, and no JRPG experience should be like that. So while the tagline is or the selling point is it's the big first major, really only at this point, JRPG on the Atari Lynx, I reject that as a premise. I don't really feel like it is a JRPG in that particular aspect. It emulates the towns, it emulates the random encounters. It does have some fun little hunt items sprinkled throughout the game, but I don't think it's enough to make it rise to anything passable for me. So as far as my final score for this game, I when I first played this game, I was thinking I was probably going to give the game like a 30 or a 35. I've since come around to that. That's way too low of a score. But that being said, the game's going to probably hit a solid 45 for me. No more, no less. It probably would have taken a bigger hit if we actually were soft locked with the Demon Sword. Fun fact, for those who are, because I'm going to post this review section separately from the entire playthrough part of this part 4. Fun fact, if you, I looked at the thread that said I had to have a demon sword, and you couldn't buy any after hunt number 30, and I reset the entire game, well, up to 1/3 of it, to redo all of it, and only to find out that there was a demon sword in the last dungeon. That was never talked about in the thread, and so I deleted everything for nothing. So, had there not been at least one pity demon sword, then this could have been a completely different, tone towards being soft locked at the very end. But I played myself. That's nobody else's fault but my own. So the game doesn't deserve hate for my own choice. Although I do think only having one weapon to damage the boss is kind of annoying. I would prefer a weapon swing to like disable boss's defenses, like something like Shining Force might do, or something of that particular nature, and then everybody can start dealing damage. But only being able to damage with one weapon, not great, in my opinion. Anyway, Wyvern Tales, those are my onions about the game. So we are done. I'm locking the game back up in its nice little songbird case that is full of flaws, and it is the lowest game of 2024. Worst game, uh, unfortunately. So sorry. Uh, there always has to be a worse game, and this one's the worst. But so far, it looks like Sword of Hyjia is on pace to be the best game of 2024 at this particular rate with its astonishing 90 score. So we'll see. We'll see what the rest of the year holds out for us. We have to finish Persona 4 Golden, and I think I'm done early enough. I could probably load a little bit of gameplay of that, and then come back for an evening stream. I might do that. I am gonna have to disconnect this TV and rehook up the other TV. So yeah, if people want to give me 10 minutes, it's gonna give me enough time to like stretch for water, all of the other stuff I'm gonna have to do. But we're done with Wyvern Tales. I'm gonna put this game back, and I'm gonna put the Atari Lynx adapter back. We are done with all of that. All right. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see some of you for maybe, I don't know, like 40, 50 minutes more of gameplay before I call it. But thanks, everyone. For those who are done or just came here to see Wyvern Tales, have a good rest of your day. And for everyone else, see you in about 10 minutes. Bye!